The spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Everyone, Kyle here, and it is Sunday. And you know what that means? It's time for weekly purchases, that time of the week where we investigate what came through the door via DHL, Amazon, UPS, United States Postal Service, FedEx, and of course that old outlaw Waylon Jennings. And I should say Sioux Falls, South Dakota, as I just flew back in, and boy are my arms tired, or I drove actually. But I was in South Dakota for a few days this week, so very busy, no rest for the wicked. That's the way it is. Done. Next week, headed to Nebraska. Oh, Nebraska. Shout out to Nebraska. Be over there next week. So always on the move, always running and gunning. A tired Kyle is what you got. But we're here today for the weekly purchases. And we got quite a few weekly purchases through the door this week. A lot of cool stuff to talk about. But of course, we got some housekeeping to deal with like we always do at the top of weekly purchases. Special shout out to my wife, Angie. It was her birthday yesterday for those keeping track. So happy birthday to Angie. And then, of course, rip to the legend. The old Iron Sheik passed away this week. So figured I'd wear the shirt in tribute. Always tough to lose a legend like the Sheik. Sheik, quite the career, as we all know. Don't have to wrap that whole thing up again. But a lot of stuff, a lot of years of memories from the Sheik and Twitter. We'll miss that Twitter account, all that kind of stuff. So shout out to the Sheik. And actually about 15, 16 days ago on the channel, as part of our weekly top 5 countdowns, we did the top 5 Iron Sheik figures of all time. So that's a good way to remember the Sheik, remember some of his best wrestling figures. Check out that video if you did miss it. But we got some housekeeping to get to, as we usually do. Of course, Patreon, the June giveaway for Patreon. I'm all mixed up, turned around here, but we do got 2 things for Patreon members. So hit up the old Patreon channel, become a member, support the channel, get all the bonus content. Did a brand new Q&A from my hotel room in South Dakota this week. But this month's giveaway, Sami Zayn 102, Brock Lesnar, and his forklift. One winner will get these. So shout out to the old Patreon members. Thank you for all the support there. And then we can't forget, next week on the channel, I will announce the winner in the Toy News and Weekly Purchases videos. We do got the 30,000 subs giveaway. Thank you guys for subscribing to this channel, hitting 30,000. Quite the milestone, of course. Got a special top 10 list coming to the channel this week, so stay tuned for that this weekend for Patreon members. But 30,000 subs, we did hit it. And of course, the 30,000 subs giveaway, we got Juventud Guerrera, we've got Ray Phoenix, or I guess this is Penta, and then we got Taya Valkyrie, and there's Ray Phoenix. We got Ray Phoenix as well. So we got the 4 boss fight Legends Lucha Libre figures. Those will go to 1 person on Twitter. Of course, you got to do it on Twitter. YouTube, you really can't put email addresses, things like that in the comments. They just don't go through or something. I don't know. But head over to my Twitter, find the pinned tweet. It's right at the top of my Twitter, SirPaul64, of course, on Twitter. Find that. You got to retweet that, tag 3 friends. Make sure you also subscribe to this YouTube channel. You will be entered. I will announce the winner, like I said, in next week's videos, next weekend, Toy News and Weekly Purchases. So thanks, everybody, for subscribing to the channel. Now we got a quick recap of the week that was here on the channel. A ton of videos, no rest for the wicked. Get the old cape like a young James Brown. As I was traveling, but I got ahead of stuff, got after it, just like I'm going to do this weekend for next weekend. Like I said, no risk for the wicked like young Ozzy Osbourne. But we did do the brand new Mezco Ghost Rider Next Level figure. I'm still kind of on the fence on the soft goods a little bit, but a very cool motorcycle effects. Love the glow-in-the-dark aspect. Check out that Mezco Ghost Rider unboxing. My dad came over right before I left town. I said, Dad, any chance you can come over? And he was not busy. His calendar was clear, so he did come over. We did knock out the NECA Bride of Frankenstein unboxing, a very fun one there. Check out me and my dad ramble about all kinds of things on that video. We had 2 different videos about the Dragonfly. Of course, the brand new HasLab from the G.I. Joe Classified series. Very cool. You guys know I backed that. Talked about it, kind of had a little talk discussion video on the day it was announced. And then on Thursday this week, we did a video kind of comparing the Dragonfly to the WCW stage. A lot of people say you can't compare them. Well, you can obviously compare anything if you want to. Hasbro, Mattel, both toys, both crowdfunders. There's a lot of similarities, but there's a lot of differences at the same time. I broke it down from where I sit. Of course, this table right here, right now, but I was sitting in South Dakota in that table for that video. But check out that one if you want to check that out. Some Batman unboxings this week. Fresh off the truck from DJC Collectibles. You can have these tomorrow if you want to. as these just got officially announced by McFarlane this week, but what do you know, we unboxed them on the channel. We got the Batman 66 with Batman, Robin in their oxygen masks, and then of course Batgirl as well, so check out that video. Long awaited, I don't know, sounds right, but Joker Titan, the big Joker figure, we unboxed that from the DC Multiverse this week. Did some Star Wars unboxings. Once again, DJC Collectibles coming in hot this week with Rebel Commando, a 2-in-1 figure, a must-have figure if you ask me. And I did unbox the comic versions of Dr. Aphra and Princess Leia here on the channel. We also did some Hard Times Disappointment, Doc Ock, Aunt May, of course the Spider-Man Animated Series 2-pack Hasbro Pulse exclusive. We unboxed that. I had a lot of trouble with those tentacles, and man, it's just crazy how many comments you get on stuff like that when things go south. A lot of people all over me like, you gotta push harder, you're not pushing hard enough. Man, this ain't my first rodeo. I've unboxed a figure a time or two. I know what I'm doing most of the time, come on. But everybody's saying you gotta pop till it clicks. Well, of course I'm playing with it. I'm going around, I'm going through the motions on it. And what I ended up finding out was my backpack, 3 of the pegs on my backpack, and I put it in the comments. Nobody reads the comments, of course, from me. But there was excess plastic in there. So I had a little bit of plastic shavings, like almost flapped, like it wasn't bored in enough. So 3 of the 4 I had issues with. So what I did was I heated it up with a hairdryer, and then I had a pin sitting here at the table, right here, and I just pushed that in there, and it kind of cave the plastic in a little bit, I guess you'd say, and then they would plug in there. So really, like everything, and I say this all the time on the channel, just because I have a bad experience with it, it doesn't work, guess what? Every figure that is ever made has a defect somewhere in the process. 10,000 figures made, you're going to have 2 or 3 that just don't work correctly. That's the way it goes. I don't hold that against Hasbro. I don't hold that against Mattel or whatever, but it's never fun to have it happen to you, of course, but I did fix it. Luckily, it was very easily fixable. Still a little, I don't know if it's the tightest fit ever, and I know some people were a little bit disappointed by that one, but I want to put an update here because not everybody reads the pinned comments, all that kind of stuff, and yeah, so there you go. Doc Ock, Aunt May on the channel this week. Jack Superstars, Classic Superstars, that is. Every Tuesday we did the video, as we do every single Tuesday for well over 3 years now, and we did a top 5 Rick the Model Martel countdown. We counted down to Rick Martel's figures. He's got more than 5 figures. A guy that definitely needs some modern day figures. Hopefully one of these days, very soon, we'll get some Rick the Model Martel. And then we did a big fig hunt, of course. You got to do the weekly fig hunt every single Friday. This week, a little bit off the beaten path. We hit a couple of Walmarts, a couple of Targets, but my daughter Elle and I, we went to the Des Moines Comic-Con, so you can see the sights and sounds of Comic-Con. And then we also went to a flea market. So there's a big flea market going on. I actually picked up a few things we'll talk about in this very video. Got to get a deal. That's what I did. Could be Hard Times Disappointment. We'll see what ends up happening there. So a lot of stuff going on the channel this week, just like every other week on the channel. Now we turn our attention to the Jonathan Frakes question of the week.
Planning a trip soon?
Well, there it is, and it is a very timely question. It says, planning a trip soon. You guys and gals that get to go on your vacations every single year, I always talk about it. I never get time off. I haven't had 1 full week of vacation since I want to say 2007. It's just the life I live, the business I've chosen to be into for whatever reason, however you want to say it. I don't get time off, and even on my days off, unfortunately, it's usually 4 hours in front of the computer, 4 hours on calls, even on my days off. Yes, Saturdays, yes, Sundays, no rest for the wicked. That should be the theme of this one here. So, but I am planning a trip very soon. Obviously, I just talked about it. I'm going to Gretna, Nebraska, and Omaha, Nebraska next week for work, so there's a trip. There's a trip. But I am actually going to San Diego for San Diego Comic-Con this year. A lot of you guys do know that. So I will be going out there in July. Unfortunately, I was supposed to have Tuesday off. Kyle, we got a big meeting. We need you to come back on Tuesday. So I canceled 1 day there. Then I was supposed to be back. I'm coming back late Sunday night after San Diego Comic-Con. Was going to take Monday off to regroup. Unfortunately, Kyle, we need you to go out of town. We got a big meeting we have to handle. So I'm going to come home, sleep a little bit, and then have like a couple hour drive and then spend the night and then have a big meeting the next day. I was hoping to have a couple of days off on the back ends of things. Unfortunately, it doesn't work out. It's just a tough life. And I guess we'll sleep when we're dead. We'll take vacation in retirement. That's the way it's going to go. But I am planning a trip soon. I am planning on going to San Diego Comic-Con. Very excited to go to my first ever San Diego Comic-Con. See what all the fuss is about. We'll see what happens there. So that's the trip I got planned soon. Where are you going? Are you one of those lucky ones? Oh, I'm going to the beach for a week. I'm going to Florida and stuff like that. Think of old Kyle. Guys like can't do that. You guys enjoy yourself. Hopefully everybody's taking a good vacation this summer because you all deserve it. You all deserve it. So there it is. There's the question of the week. Now we got to get down to it. Let's get down to it. The weekly purchases. All right, let's get down to the weekly purchases here in a mixed bag. I think we got about a 2-rounder weekly purchases. A lot of good stuff this week. But next week, very possibly, could be the biggest weekly purchases video of all time. Yes, you heard it right. We've had a lot of these. And guess what? We've never missed a weekly purchases video in well over 3 years. We never miss a video on this channel, as you guys know. But next week, very well could be the biggest one of all time. It's debatable, of course, but it's definitely right up there. We'll say top 5, top 3. I'll probably say number 1, but we'll see what happens. Stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. Don't forget about next week. But let's kick off this week. And this week, conspiracy is over. They are finally here. Magnum TA, the hooker himself, Lou Thez. We got the Bruiser, Bruiser Brody. We've got the Lariat, Stan Hansen, and of course, you can't have a Power Town without a Gagne. You got Vern Gagne. The conspiracy is over. Power Town has been delivered. Can't wait to crack into some of these. Of course, you guys know I'm just a classics guy, and as much fun as we have about Power Town here on the channel, I am about the biggest supporter. I don't know if anybody talked about Power Town more than I did, because this is my wheelhouse. This is what I've been wanting. I want this line to succeed more than anybody, and I'm very excited to dive into each one of these. Of course, we'll unbox them like we normally do. We're going to have a ton of different comparisons, a ton of stuff, because this is the first wave of these. Hopefully, Series 2 is announced. Talked a lot about these and some of the future and things like that in this week's Toy News video, so check that out if you missed it. But very, very excited to dive into the Power Town. Still waiting on Kerry Von Erich, but apparently he will be shipping in June, so stay tuned for that. Can't wait to get the old Texas Tornado himself here unboxed on the channel. But the hits keep on coming like a young Mike Nesmith. The Bride of Frankenstein came in this week. Like I talked about, my dad and I, we did unbox these on the channel, so we had a lot of fun unboxing that, talking all things Universal Monsters. Now we put the Phantom of the Opera in our scope. I think that'll be the next one we're going to unbox on the channel. Stay tuned for that. And then some may say there's no way home, but sometimes you find your way home from South Dakota. You meet Chris Carter, you meet Ryan Sandberg. You'll see some of that in Figure Hunt in the future. I tried to meet Ryan Sandberg, but they said, hey, no photos and videos. What are we doing? What are we doing, Ryan Sandberg? I don't know what's going on there. But we did get the Spider-Man 3-pack. Very interesting 3-pack here. Long awaited, much anticipated, highly anticipated. We do get the Spider-Man 3-pack. And then the last thing for round 1, via Mondo Collectibles. Look at this, big and bad, nationwide like a young ZZ Top. We've got Anti-Eternia He-Man, the dark, evil Eternia He-Man, by the power of Hellskull, as he does say. Very, very cool figure. Can't wait to dive into this one. And of course, got the big window box, all that kind of stuff going on there. And the power of magnets, they compel me. Love a little magnetism right there, like a young Magneto. So there it is. There's round 1 of weekly purchases. Let's turn our attention to round number 2. All right, round number 2, the final round of weekly purchases this week. And I picked up a little Lucy, Lucy figure. I did get Ted DiBiase from, I want to say, Adrenaline 37. A little upgrade version to mine. This one's a little better shape. Mine has a little looser joints and a few more scuffs. This one in much better shape, of course. Now, this is just like the classic Superstars one with less detail, less things going on. So that is the difference with that Ted DiBiase. But had to pick up a little Lucy this week. So there you go. Well, you did see this on the Figure Hunt. These are dropping to extreme clearance out there at Walmart's. Some Walmart's under $5. I forget what I paid. Did I pay like $7, $8 for these? But it is Snout Spout and it is Leech. I figured for that price, I'm going to buy a second one. I'm going to display both heads, both versions, make them as different as possible as we always do. So I picked those up. But if you're into these, you need these, man, Walmart's swimming in them across the country from what I'm told and what I've seen with my own very eyes. So pick those up this week, of course. I did go to a little flea market action this week. And I don't hit flea markets very often. I mean, it is really a needle in a haystack most of the time. And I'm not looking for a ton of stuff, but we did go. My wife and my daughter went. We saw a video of that on the Fig Hunt. We had all kinds of fun out there. We even went to Burger King. Emma's favorite Burger King. Oh, she had it her way. It was quite the day. Quite the day. But I did pick up a few things on deal. I did pick up this one, an all-time favorite of mine, Malabolgia and Medieval Spawn from back in the day, of course, way back in the day. Now, I did unbox one of these, let's say 5 years ago. I had my kid one. I sold it in the Great Purge of 2000, 2001, whatever it was. We'll talk about that one day. I've been promising that video for like 3 years, but one day we'll talk about it. but I purged everything. I rebought this like 5 years ago, let's say it was, and I unboxed it, not on the channel or anything, pulled it out of the package, and Malabolgia crumbled to dust right in my hands, right out of the package. The limbs broke off, just totally fell apart. Now, I'm going to unbox this on the channel for old time's sake in the next few weeks. I'm sure it'll be on Patreon probably this weekend, maybe, but it's one of those long game unboxings for traditional YouTube. But we'll see what happens. There might be some hot garbage here. A lot of these McFarlane figures really didn't hold up back from the 90s, that's for sure. The glue's given out, the plastic's given out. I hope that's not the case. This Malabolgia is probably the best old school Spawn figure of all time. It had such a hubbub around it when it was released. Such a big figure, so much different than a lot of things. Very, very cool. So we're going to see what happens with that one. We're going to see if we make it through. And speaking of McFarlane toys, I picked up one of this. This is an old favorite from the old Wetworks line. For $5, I'll buy a werewolf for $5. Sure, sign me up. I love a good hairy bipedal creature. You guys know that. So we got the werewolf right there. $5 werewolf. But it didn't end there. I was missing the variant on this one, of course, from the Wildcats, Pike. So I was missing this variant color one, $5. Said, to complete the series, have all the figures, I might as well pick this one up. So that's exactly what I did there. Picked old Pike up. And then it didn't end with the Wildcats. I got the 2 Damonites, these army builders here. These are very cool figures. Always love these. I think I have like 5 or 6 in my collection. I said, hey, what the heck? What's 2 more? So $5 a piece for all these. Couldn't pass that up. There was no way I was passing those up. Very cool army builders. Can mix those with other toy lines if you really wanted to as well. And then the final one, a very cheap cost. Picked this bad boy up, a TNA Impact, kind of deluxe aggression style figure of old Hulk Hogan, the Hulkster himself. I actually have one of these, but without the accessories. Now I have the accessories. I'll probably sell the old version of Hulk just to get rid of it there. So I did get that one. A few other little things here. I got a little dungeon action and other extreme sets through the door this week. So I got a little extreme sets dungeon for He-Man figures, of course. Now I have like 10 different extreme sets right now, and I haven't put any of them together. I don't even know where I'm going to put them all. I got like an Asylum. I think that's the other one I have right here. I'm getting ahead of myself. I also got the Asylum pop-up as well. So I got another extreme set here. So an Asylum and the Gray Skull version. So I got 2 of those. I got like wrestling backgrounds. I got like 3 or 4 of those. I got the mats and floors. I got a subway car. I got the turtle lair. I got a ton of these extreme sets. And I need to get to it, get putting these guys together. Bring my wife Angie in. Maybe we can do a video where we put all these together. We'll do it slow motion or fast motion, whatever they call it there. But we'll see. I got to get around to it. I got to figure some stuff around. I've been traveling. I've been gone. And then when I am home, you know, you want to spend some time with your family. And then you want to get up really early or go late at night and you knock out all these unboxings. Hasn't been a lot of time to devote to moving things around my collection. So I got a couple of days of pure work just putting things and putting stuff that I reviewed back on the shelf. I need to get around to doing that, but I just got to get some time off. So one of these days that will happen. So stay tuned. Stay tuned. There you go. But that's it. Looking around, that is the weekly purchases this week. A little middle of the road week, but a very exciting week. Happy for that Mondo one finally to come. Happy for Power Town. And we got some ancillary stuff as well. So a good week in the weekly purchases department. But like I said, next week could be an all-timer. But what did you get this week? Let me know in the comment section down below. Of course, you made it this far. Don't forget to subscribe to this very YouTube channel. Don't forget about the giveaway, as we talked about at the top of the channel there. Also, don't forget to like this video. Always helps the channel when you give it a thumbs up. And then don't forget about Patreon for early access to this video and all the other videos here on the channel. And then, of course, you get giveaways over there, Q&As, bonus videos, dog stuff. You can see the great groundhog fight against the dogs and the groundhog. Oh, that's quite the video. That's up on Patreon right now as well. So a lot going on over on the Patreon at all times. And truly, your best way to support the channel. You can also support the channel over at ProWrestlingTees.com. Search Kyle Peterson. Don't forget social media. SirPaul64 on Twitter and Instagram. _Kyle_Peterson. So I'm rocking and rolling, strutting and strolling my way into another work week. Nebraska. I'll see you guys all real soon.